Just a brief introduction to a video I'm just going to put up of somebody else's orchard in Sussex that we took in June. I was visiting a conference somewhere in southern England, I won't say exactly where, and this is an orchard in Sussex of a guest house we stayed in, and I made this film with permission to put it on YouTube. I'm not going to say any more than that about the details, but it's an interesting old orchard. It's obviously very old, probably the trees are at least 50 years old, maybe more. A lot of them have fallen down. They were planted too close together initially, and there's evidence of neglect. I don't mean to use the word neglect in an offensive way, because if you plant some big old apple trees and leave them alone, all sorts of interesting things will happen, as I'll show here. I'll put this up for discussion and out of interest, because one of the questions I've most often been asked is, I've moved into a house with some very old trees and they're a bit of a mess and I don't know what to do with them. Well, this is an example of an orchard of that kind, and later on I may offer a few more thoughts about the sort of thing that you could do with an orchard like this. Of course, one option is always just to let it be a wildlife sanctuary and leave it alone and be content with some windfall apples and having lots of interesting things going on, and maybe to hang a swing up in the tree, and there is a swing hanging in one of these trees. Anyway, without further ado, this is a little old Sussex orchard. We're in the South Downs, and here's an interesting little orchard of, I think, cooking apples. I know there's at least one Beauty of Bath here, and well, I'm filming this with permission of the owner of the guest house where we've been staying. So it's a good example of neglected apple trees, very old, not much has been done to them. These trees here are about 6 feet apart, and they're very big trees and sort of totally growing into each other. Here's some honeysuckle, here's some ivy, here's some bramble. I mean, you know, if people like to grow their apple trees like this, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a choice. But you can see, I mean, here, this is interesting up here. You've got, I don't know, well, you can see that. You've got 2 trees, this one, I don't know anything about the varieties, and this tree, they're actually fused. They're actually grown into each other and have welded. I can see a little apple stuck in between there. So this is all dead. This in need of a little bit of work. Still pretty though. Still pretty. There's Julia over there. Here's an apple which we believe is a Bramley that's broken off. It's fallen over, it's lying on its side. That's probably rooting down there. It's still alive. Still has a bit of scab there. You know, these old trees which don't get any treatment at all, you tend to find after a while a bit more scab. You get a sort of balance establishes. Obviously trees that are very fragile do die. Interesting, there's a few other apple trees dotted around here and there, and here we've got another apple tree again, planted just literally 6 feet apart from another, and these are very big trees. And we've got an elder actually growing out. Can you see that? Amazing. Here's an apple tree, the variety unknown, and some elder has actually fallen into a crack in the tree where a big branch has died and left a hole, and some elder seed has fallen into that. And we've actually got an elderberry bush. There we are, some elderflowers have actually set there into berries. We've actually got an elder growing out of an apple tree. Look at the same there, you see that? Quite amazing. This is the sort of hole that would have been, I don't know, I can well imagine that there might be an animal living in there. Well, that's an interesting setup, isn't it? So these old trees can provide quite interesting environments, and indeed you can see up there produce quite a lot of fruit. All of it's on the outside, of course, where they haven't been pruned for so long, you've got nothing growing on the inside at all, just this these dead twigs and lichen, but a very fascinating environment. There's another bit of elder growing out of an apple tree. Well, I must admit that's a curiosity that I hadn't seen before now. Well, we'll need to be on our way. Conference in driving home today, but always interested to look at other people's apple trees. I'm filming this with permission.